friends, and welcome to card 12 of my fall series for this year. Today I want to share with you this really cute Scarecrow card featuring an amazing stamp set from Lawn Fawn. So let's get into it. Today I am using the Happy Harvest stamp and die set from Lawn Fawn. I just love this set. It's one of my favorites, and I wanted to create kind of a little mini scene here. And I'm starting out with a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock that I have cut using one of my circle dies, and I'm taking some Speckled Egg Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to just paint a little bit of a sky on this circle die cut. Now I end up covering up the bottom portion of this later on, but I just wanted to get kind of like a muted, moody sky here, and this card is perfect for today because today is officially the first day of fall. I am so excited, and it is definitely a moody, gloomy day here in Central PA. We've got rain and gloom, and the leaves are changing, so it is a perfect card for this day. So to paint this piece here, I just took some shimmer spray and I sprayed the ink with it, and I'm painting it on instead of using water because I wanted it to kind of have a little bit of shimmer just to add a little bit of interest. And I'm just going around with my paintbrush and painting that on, and I'm going to set it off to the side to dry. Next I wanted to take the corn husk. It's not really a husk, it's the stalk of corn, excuse me, and I wanted to ink it up using some Distress ink colors. I've got Fossilized Amber and Vintage Photo here, and I'm going to be doing kind of like, I'm going to ink it up and then I'm going to ink it up again with the Vintage Photo to kind of do, I'm not really sure what this technique is called, but I wanted to add a little bit of color to the yellow just to make it look a little bit more realistic instead of just doing solid colors. I wanted it to look kind of gradient and, you know, look a lot like a corn husk, the one that's all dried out, and, you know, when you go through corn mazes and things like that. So I'm just going to go through here, and I'm first inking up with the Fossilized Amber, and then I'm going in with a sponge dauber with a Vintage Photo on top of that inking just to get that gradient of color. Again, I'm not really sure what this technique is called. I think it's if you take the ink pads and you rock and roll them, I think maybe. But this, I'm using the stamp dauber, or the blending brush instead of, you know, kind of rocking the ink pad on the stamp. And I think this works out a lot better. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to ink up about 7 of these, and then I'm going to get right into my coloring. First, I wanted to add a little bit of detail to my Scarecrow. I love doing this, you know, adding some patches on his clothing and on his little shirt and some details on his hat. And you can just use any Copic friendly marker. This one wasn't quite Copic friendly. I grabbed the wrong marker, but any marker will do. And then I'm going to get into the coloring. I've got all the colors that I've used for all of my images listed along the side here. I'm going to add on some music, and when we're all done, we'll come back and finish up together. just about finished with all of my coloring. This is one of my favorite color combinations to use for the fall. Your oranges, your browns, your greens, your reds, and then adding that nice pop of teal. Again, I love adding teal to my fall cards, and I like adding teal to my Christmas cards too, but I loved giving him these little teal overalls, and I love the way that he turned out. He is so sweet. Next, I'm going to go in with my white gel pen, and I'm going to add some highlight details. Again, this is one of my favorite ways to add some interest to these images, and I especially like to do them on Lawn Fawn. I'm not sure if it's, because of the cute nature of these images, that the white details really make these stand out and really pop. Makes them super, super cute. And this Scarecrow, I tell you, I've had this stamp set for a really long time, and he is still one of my absolute favorite. I'm not sure what it is about him. He is so sweet, and then when you go in and add all of these details, it makes him look even cuter. I'm going to go in with a black Sakura Jelly Roll pen, and I'm going to add some highlight to their eyes, and I'm going to cut them out with the coordinating dies. Once I have all of these images cut out, they look so sweet. Oh my gosh, he is so cute. I'm going to get ready to create our actual card. So I've got a card base here of some Nina 100-pound cardstock, and I'm going to be doing a top folding card base. I'm going to cut the sheet in half, and I'm going to score it at 5.5 to create that top folding card base. And again, I love using craft cardstock for my fall cards, and I really think this one matches the pattern paper. This pattern paper came from a set that I got in my last haul. I can't remember. I'll make sure it's linked below, but I just love this little farm scene. I felt it worked perfectly with our little Scarecrow scene, kind of added a little bit more interest into our background. Instead of just using a plain color, kind of set the scene for our Scarecrow. It's so pretty. It's a nice like watercolored image. I love it so much. And then I wanted to add just a little bit more color across the center here. So I just took some of this orange cards or pattern paper from the same set, and I just trimmed it down to kind of be a nice strip across the center of our sheet here. And I cut it just a smidgen too small, but you can't really tell because of all the activity kind of going on in the background, and I still think it looked great. I had thought about maybe matting it a little bit more with some red, but I felt like I had enough red on the card, and this just super sweet. I love how this turned out. I don't use pattern paper as much as I would like to. I like using it this way. I think I'm going to try to use a little bit more this year in my Christmas series. How do you guys feel about pattern paper? Let me know down in the comments. Next, I wanted to add some kind of grounding to my little circle die cut. I felt like I needed some ground for him to sit on, or I'd look like he was floating in the air. So I just took some of this craft cardstock, and I took a grass border. I think this one's by Honeybee, but I'll have some things listed down in the description for you. And I'm taking those same distress colors that I used before, Fossilized Amber and Vintage Photo. I'm just ink blending on top of this craft, and I just love how this looks. It's a nice muted color. I think it really looks like hay, and that's kind of what I was going for, make it look like he's out in a field, and it turned out fantastic. I'm glad I went with this instead of trying to do green. This really kind of adds to the scene, kind of pulls it all together. And I just, like I said, going over with these ink colors, and these Distress Oxides look amazing on this craft cardstock. I wanted to add just a little bit more interest to this little grassy, or I guess hay, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to splatter some of the Vintage Photo on here, just with some regular water. Again, just to add a little bit of interest, and covering it up so I don't splatter it all over my card panel there. And I'll get it dried and cut out with the same circle die. And I love, like I said, I love how this looks. Fantastic. I love the painted background, and then this nice grassy hay field really rounds out the entire scene that I'm creating here. And I like doing mini scenes. I think it kind of, you get a really nice kind of effect with the mini scenes. You're not having all of this stuff going on in the background. You're really focusing on your main image and just kind of like accenting it with all of these images around it, and kind of really kind of focusing in on, what your main part is. I'm just going to pop up this circle with some foam tape just to give it a little bit of interest. We're going to be adding quite a bit of dimension with our main Scarecrow and with our greeting. get that centered on to our card base here, and I just love how this looks. Gonna kind of put in our corn stalks here so we can kind of get an idea of where we want to place everything before we commit to gluing it down. And we're going to get ready to work on our sentiment here. So I took the Oliver's Stitched Alphabet dies from Lawn Fawn, and I cut them out of some Schoolhouse red cardstock, and I'm just stacking them up 3 at a time to make a really nice dimensional die cut. I really like doing this, I think a little bit more than adding 3M foam tape. I think it kind of, I don't know, I think the dimension's a little bit nicer, and you don't see any of that foam adhesive underneath it, and I just love the way that this looks. And I'm going to take a stamp from, I think this one's from Thanks a Latte, and it's just the happy die. And I'm going to stamp it on some black licorice cardstock here using some Simon Clear embossing ink. And I'm going to use some Brutus Monroe Alabaster White embossing powder to stamp this down. And I was really brave deciding not to use my Misty here, but it turned out perfect. I didn't have any issues. And I just coated that with the embossing powder and heated it up. Once I had all that heat embossing melted, I took a banner die and I just cut that out with my die cutting machine, and I'm going to trim off the excess with my scissors. You could have easily just used your paper trimmer or scissors to cut this out, but I sometimes cut things crooked, and I just wanted to be sure that I had a nice straight sentiment. And you can see here the cute little scene that we are creating, and now we can get ready to adhere everything with some liquid glue. Now you can use any glue that you like. I really am enjoying this Barely Arts adhesive. It sticks really well. You only need a little bit to really get it to hold on tight, and I think it's a really great adhesive. I do recommend it. And again, just gluing down those corn stalks, and I really think they turned out great. I love all the different gradients of color. It really looks like a cornfield. And I decided to add a nice odd number. Again, no rhyme or reason behind this. I just think odd numbers look a lot nicer. And we're going to pop up our Scarecrow using some of that same 3M foam tape, because he is the focal point of our card. And I love his little red shirt. I think it's super cute. Probably could have made it into like a plaid shirt. That would have been really cool, using you know, even a black marker or some white gel pen. That would have looked neat too. He is so sweet. I love how he looks. He pops out really, really well. And I'm going to use that same Barely Art adhesive to glue down my dimensional letters here. And I wanted them to look kind of scattered. You know, I think it really adds to the whimsy of my card here. Kind of adds some interest. You don't always have to adhere things in a nice straight line. And I think especially with Lawn Fawn, you can get away with it because their images are just so cute and whimsical. And I really think it kind of frames up the bottom of our little scene here. And we're going to pop up that happy on some foam tape and glue down a little pumpkin here just to kind of round out our little scene. And on the inside, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to glue our Scarecrow, oh my goodness, I cannot talk today. We're going to adhere our crows on here. And I'm really glad I colored them in 2 different colors. I know that crows are obviously black, but I liked adding the different shades. I think it kind of adds some interest. Now on the inside of my card, I'm going to glue down the remaining corn stalks and that last large pumpkin. And we're going to stamp the You Are Amazing sentiment from the same Happy Harvest set. And I'm just going to use some of that clear embossing ink. I really like doing this on craft. I think it adds a really cool like watermark image, and you can still write over everything here. There's still lots of space to write a greeting. And I love the punny sentiment, You're Amazing. Goes great with the corn stalks. And now I'm going to go in with my Wink of Stella, glitter brush pen, or is this my Aqua Shimmer? Either way, I'm going in with a shimmer pen and adding some glitter detail to my die cuts. This is one of my favorite ways to add some shimmer to a card. And I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer to our Scarecrow as well, and that will finish up this card for today. I want to thank you guys for coming by. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe, as well as that little notification bell down on the bottom. Every time I upload a video, you will be notified when I do so. I hope you guys are enjoying the first day of fall as much as I am. I can't wait to share with you guys the next video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye! screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.